have custom waterfalls and all sorts of amazing water effects in Fortnite. And today I'm going to show you how to do all of this along with a few other things. Okay, first, we're seeing all of these really cool effects from different people making amazing things, but it's hard to even know how they even did this. Well, Spanky Sully actually made a website where people can share what they've made and all of the settings for it. So for example, here's a lightsaber. You can see here's all of the settings to do a lightsaber. Or here's this rainbow smoke and all of the settings for that. Now, there's not a lot in here yet, but as more people put things in here, it's gonna make it easier to learn how to do stuff. So I'm just gonna put in this lightsaber real quick. Okay, I put a bunch of the settings in here. Now, it's not exactly the settings that was suggested. I wanted to brighten it up a bit, and the sprite speed was 75 in theirs, and I just thought that was too long, so I changed it down to 40. Okay, so you can see there's my effect right there. I mean, I would usually like turn that off, but when I step on it, you can see now I've got a lightsaber, but I have nothing in my hand because I turned off the pickaxe. But if I pick up a shadow bomb here, then it looks like a lightsaber. I mean, isn't that cool? I mean, when you move around, it is not cool. I mean, it's cool. It's just not a lightsaber, but that's how you get a lightsaber when you're just like standing still. I mean, even when I'm standing still, you can see it kind of waves in the wind. I mean, so it's cool, but it's not amazing. Cool thing about the site was this lightsaber here gave me a base to work off of, and then I can adjust the settings the way I wanted it to look. So go check this out. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. You can see it up here. That's the link. I'm sure more effects will be added soon. Okay, now some of you wanted to know how to do the Chidori effect that Sasuke does from Naruto, and further showed that it was even possible in my React video, but I did my own version right here, and I'm going to show you how. So I made my main color this dark blue. Then I actually have a secondary color with this bright blue. Those two colors working together is what I think makes a really cool effect. I'm using this electric effect, and then you can see some of my other settings here. Now, one thing that's really important with this is to stick this to the player. When you set this to yes, you'll see this spawn on player's body part pop up. You can assign it to the head, the center, the base, or the weapon. If it's the weapon, it's going to be in the player's hand. Now, in addition to that setting, you also need to go down and turn spawn at player when receiving from a certain channel. So I'm going to set it to channel 1. When I stand on this, it's going to give me the Chidori effect. Okay, so here I'm going to stand on it. You can see now I've got my Chidori effect kind of going on. Now, it's not perfect, and if I really wanted to make this perfect, I might make a second one with a different effect going on it so that you get something more like this where it has like the ball in the center. I don't know. You just play around with it. I mean, that is definitely not perfect there. You're starting to see kind of the different things you can do as you combine effects. Just place these different settings. Okay, now let's talk about water. So in the past, the only way to have any kind of waterfall would be to get a fountain like this, resize it. I mean, you got this massive base here, and then you just kind of copy and paste this and place them next to each other. I mean, and then you can kind of have some semblance of a waterfall. You still have to account for this massive base that's here now. You have to build around it. It's just really annoying. And the fact that we just got this water volume device, like I'm super excited about this device. It's so cool. But I'm hoping we get some like waterfall additions to the water device or a separate waterfall device itself. But until then, we can make stuff like this using the VFX custom device. Well, that looks fine by itself. If I copy this and put a bunch right next to each other, you know, now you can start to see we're getting to have like a really cool waterfall effect. Problem with this is though, is if you put something in this way, like say we're gonna put some rocks here, you see it goes straight through the rocks. It doesn't really bounce off and have like a splash effect. And we can work on creating a splash effect, and I'm gonna make something really cool in just a second, but I'm hoping we actually get a dynamic water device that pours down and then things run off it. I know that's possible in Unreal Engine because I've seen it in videos before, and I know they could build that for us. So I'm hoping we get that, but for now, let me show you how to build something cool. So before we build some landscape around, let's look at this device here. So you can see here, my main color is blue and the brightness color is 10, but let me show you if I change the brightness color, what happens. It becomes like a glowing waterfall, which may be cool. You might want that, but I found at 10, it just kind of has the right look to it. By now I'm using white as a secondary color with a 1 brightness, but if I increase that brightness, just see what happens. You can see at the end of the water, it starts to get this really bright white, which you may want, but for now, I'm just gonna leave it at 1. So I'm using the splatter effect. You can see I've got these different settings right here. You can just take a look through them. Now, one thing I want to point out is I'm using the points as a spawn zone shape. If I change it to sphere, this is what it looks like. It starts to look, I don't even know what that looks like. I mean, it doesn't really look proper. I mean, I guess if I copied a bunch of these together, it would then just look like a really big waterfall. And I mean, that doesn't look terrible, especially if I'm like standing close to it. I mean, that looks kind of cool, but I don't really like that effect as much as the point. You could also use dots, and let me show you what that looks like. It almost looks a little bit more like rain coming down, just like more of a trickle. You could even change the size of this. I mean, let's see what it looks like at 10x. I mean, I don't know what that is. That's not a waterfall. But I mean, if you play with the different sizes and stuff, you start to get effects that may look better or worse to you. Now, one thing I should note here, the size change is how big it gets at the bottom. So if I change this to 1000, you can see it still looks the same at the top, but at the bottom it gets bigger, and it's almost looks a little bit, I don't know, it doesn't look great at 1000. I'm gonna leave it back at 600 is what I originally had it at, and I feel like it just feels a little better. Well, I want this to be a bigger waterfall, so I'm gonna duplicate this a few times, just side by side. If you want to make this look a little bit more random, I'm just gonna change like the angle that it's pointing and throw a few pointing in different angles in there. Okay, there we go. I think that's a pretty cool looking waterfall. I mean, it might be a little bright, but that's okay. Now I can build a little landscape to make this look the way I want. Okay, you can see here I'm just building like a simple landscape. The waterfall coming down. We got a bunch of rocks here. Got water you can swim in, which is gonna be cool. Let's throw in some trees and greenery. We have this really nice tall grass now that just fits in perfectly for a scene like this. Gosh, we've got so much now to work with. Things that we couldn't do before, like we can do so quickly now. And it looks so much better. I mean, this is great. All right, so this is a fine surrounding, but you know, the water just kind of goes straight in. I want some like mist or something to make it look a little bit more dynamic. I'm gonna place another device down here that has the dots coming up, so it's like smaller splashes. I don't want to use the same effect down here. It didn't look quite as good, but I'm gonna place a few of these down here. And now we have an area on a map like this. It has swimmable water and a waterfall and like splashes and stuff. I mean, it's really cool. And then if you wanted, you could take this same water effect. You could angle it up a little bit, change the sprite speed to be a little bit faster, and then you got this like water fountain almost. Might even change some of the randomness down just a little bit, and it makes it so it's more of a fountain than like a waterfall. Then you can create your own custom fountains. We got this really cool water effect. Let's find a good prop to put in there. Oh, here we go, guys. This is perfect. This is the drill top to the fortress. The IO fountain. Wait, I feel like I need one that's pointing straight up. Hold on. There we go. That's beautiful. Actually, hold on. I want to switch this out for the rock. Yeah, now that's a fountain I would pay to go see. This water effect is now something that can really add some beautiful things to your maps. And finally, we're going to use this, once again, same water effect to build ourselves a room that fills up with water. We're just going to grab a pipe here and attach it to our water effect. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'm actually just going to copy this, and we're going to make two that are just like mirroring each other. Okay, there we go. We've got two water devices now that's going to fill up this room. And let's just quickly make a room to fill up. Okay, we've got a little room here. I have my water device that's a 3x3x3 size, and it fits perfectly. I mean, that's just awesome. I want to change the vertical filling speed to something a little bit slower, I think. And I'm also going to turn these off, but enable them when receiving from a channel. Okay, let's try this out here. What does this do? Let's flip it on. Oh, look, the water pipes are having water come out, and now the room's filling up with water. Oh, it's so cool. And then look, even underwater, you can see the pipe still having the effect. Actually, I kind of like that. But now we have a full room that fills up slowly, and we can escape it. I just love the new possibilities of this device.